Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah. I have a question about escapism. Like, you know how sometimes like we encounter a problem and we may embrace our faith. Being a Muslim, of course, it's like, okay, I went through this problem. I need to embrace the Quran more. Is it haram to like, I guess, escape into a situation opposed to facing the problem? I was just kind of curious about that.
So basically he's talking about escapism in an Islamic context. That what do Muslims do when they're undergoing some difficulty? Are they allowed to escape from that reality in order to, kind of, not have to deal with so much? Is that basically what you're asking, right?
Right.
So I mean, the thing is, from a Muslim context, we have to live in this world. We have to live in this world, and we're here to live in this world. So actually this world is going to be like the seed ground for the next life. So the way that you interact with it, everyone needs some kind of time to themselves. Everyone needs some time for relax, for recreation, not dealing so much with the problem. But what the Muslim really does is, instead of escaping from it through their own means or methods, they realize, again, going back to the purpose in life, they realize that all of this is happening for a reason. And all of this is coming for a specific reason. Whatever happened has happened. It's happened, and it's happened for a reason because God has decreed that. Doesn't mean that you're stuck and there's no free will, but God has decreed it, so you don't go and get stressed over all the things. And that's one of the important things that that Islam teaches. Islam teaches that you never look back to the past in order to regret it and say, if only I could have done something different, or what if only this would have happened. Rather, instead, you only look back in the past to learn some lessons from it, and then you go and build on the future. It's always looking at the present and the future. You don't go and sulk about the past. So in that sense of escapism, you wouldn't want to go. You have to deal with things straight as how they are, and that can kind of like remove the stress from you.
That's good. Sorry, that's a good answer, because like I hate it when I'm feeling good and I may not get all my salat in. But when I'm like bad, I get all my salat in. It's like I want to be able to just be on my beam.
Right.
Good too.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, right.
So no, okay, so you were talking about like the final solution you kind of gave. Does it work?
Yeah.
The final solution that you gave was kind of like, okay, so imagine like the happiness you feel when you serve people and you do that, right? Imagine if you can feel that like all the time by being in service of the Creator. So my question is, okay, so you could be in service of the Creator all the time. Why not just be in service to humanity all the time? Like, what makes one better than the other?
Okay, that's a very good question. So why be in service to the Creator? Why not be in service to humanity? One of the things I should have pointed out actually is when you're in service to the Creator, you're actually, one of the ways to do it is by being in service to humanity. So actually in Islam, that's a very good point, is that in Islam, when we talk about worship, right, being service to the Creator 24/7, when I said 24/7, how can you imagine? Like, look at, there are some Muslims here, right? What are you doing here? Why did you pray? Right? What happened to your 24/7 worship? Right? In Islam, worship encompasses every aspect of life. So if you're remembering God, you're doing something, you're feeding someone homeless, that counts as an act of worship. There's specific acts of worship and there's general acts of worship. All of these things encompass all aspects of your life. So why is it? That's a very common question. It says, why can't we just serve humanity? And why can't we just be just general good people? And why can't we just, help other people and then, expect a reward? The problem with all of that is, what is your intention behind going and helping other people? And who are you expecting the reward from? If you're expecting the reward from someone who you didn't even believe in, or you're expecting the reward from someone who you don't even know, you don't even acknowledge, you don't recognize, or you're not doing anything for that reason, then how can you expect that reward? That's kind of what Islam does. It kind of takes that number 4 path which we talked about, like that humanitarianism, that service to humanity, and it builds upon it and expands it and it puts it into a context which is broader. And it gives you more of a direction on why you're doing this. And it's not just something because it's pre-programmed in you, but it's pre-programmed in you as well as in the world. The fact that each and every single human being or each and every single creation has certain rights. And you can say, when you say inalienable rights, rights, but where did they come from? That's the difference between Locke's philosophy and what Islam teaches. Locke's philosophy is that there's a social contract that human beings are building. Well, what do you do if that social contract fails? What do you do if people don't want to believe in that social contract? And who defined it and where did it come from? Again, it's relative. Islam comes with something absolute and says that's been defined in heaven. That's been predefined by our Creator and in our creation. All of that's been there. That's how we actually end up serving God. Okay. So let me just open it up. Even if someone doesn't want to approach the mic, for example, right? What do you think, of the paths of happiness that I talked about? And if you still think that no, that's still one of the paths that we should be pursuing, that's still maybe one of the best routes to get to, or is there anyone who disagrees with something that I've mentioned, anything, or wants to, statistic to back up, or anything like that, just go ahead and, ask that question, or mention it.
Okay,
Is
my question,
statistic is coming out here?
no.
Okay.
It's kind of a long question. Okay, so in this society, stability is often equated with happiness. And that kind of stability usually comes from like a traditional, particular mold of like a career path. But what if we know that we won't find happiness in that particular career path, but we have like certain insecurities about, oh, if I do this to fulfill what I want, will I be financially secure or whatever, what have you? So how do you overcome that insecurity of like trailblazing a path that you think will fulfill like your happiness?
That will, or that you're not sure if it's going to?
That will.
That will fulfill your happiness.
Like how do you overcome the insecurity and like uncertainty of that?
Oh, okay. Whether it's going to actually lead to happiness?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's something that's very common today. It's like this new concept of careerism, where everyone is going into, down their career path, and there's going to be a lot of insecurities. There's going to be a lot of, difficulties with that. But what you need to do is you need to kind of put those things aside. And from the Islamic context is that you kind of rely on the fact that this world has been created in such a way where there is cause and effect. But you cannot limit yourself to cause and effect. Because things happen, there are certain things where people may do a lot of things, but you don't see the same effect. So you'll find some of the richest people in the world, there's some of the dumbest people you'll ever find. Really, you look at some of the CEOs, you're wondering how in the world did they make it, right? And then you find some people who are so intelligent, so hardworking, and they're not going to make it at all. They may be on the street, they may be living in their car right now. So what you do is basically you leave that insecurity by understanding there's only so much that you can do from your own perspective. And then you leave the rest up to God, and you leave the rest up to what's going to take place in this world. That's one of the simplest ways to do it.
Just like a lot.
Yeah.